What's going on, everybody? Now, these guys we're going to talk about next are also under pressure, but it's a different thing, different situation. Well, next up, I want to talk about coaches that we think might get fired mid-season or after the season. So just after, during this season, who's on the chopping block? There's always coaches we don't expect to get fired that get fired. These are guys we can kind of expect to get fired. So I'm going to turn it over to Addison.
Yep.
Who do you have as a coach
So,
to get fired?
I got two guys here. One that's probably, in my opinion, more realistic, and then a second guy that, if the team doesn't meet expectations, I think he could be gone.
Yep.
My first guy that I look at is a little bit more realistic.
Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Gold Fine and Bowles, Lawyers for the Injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PLAYBOOKSPORTS on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video.
Realistic, and I was hyping him up last year, but Arthur Smith in Atlanta. He's been there since 2021.
Yep.
The team beefed up a little bit in the free agency. I understand Desmond Ridder, but I think it could be a scenario where they're clean and quarterback coach both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Desmond Ridder shows he doesn't got it. The team isn't winning because this is they built this for Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
The run game, the defense.
Yep.
And again, they just went out and paid a bag to Jesse Bates. You know, they improved on defense. They went out, got Bijan Robinson because, hey, I want a running back that can be a freak. Even though we got Al-Jair back here who played very well last year. I just think it's a scenario. He's been there since 2021. If it's a bad year for Atlanta, 3-4 wins, and they're in the conversation for Caleb Williams, that's going to be, let's go get a flashy coach, flashy OC, new guy. Let's promote him to head coach, and let's go get Caleb Williams. If Atlanta really struggles, I think Arthur Smith is in trouble. Yeah, I think they have to win 7+ games to argue. Yeah, exactly. It's a decent roster, and I think Atlanta's got a chance to prove me wrong here, but
in that division, that's half their wins right there.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. I'm just worried that if they do struggle, it's like, hey, we're here and we seem like we have it, but what's up? And you're the first guy to go. If they want to keep Ridder, he's the first guy to go.
The only thing, he does get, every time you look at that roster in the past years, not this year, but he's gotten way more out of his players than he has.
That is true. I like Arthur Smith
as a coach, but sometimes we need results.
Yeah, exactly. I just think if they drop a 3 or 4 win season, which would be a regression,
a huge regression for them,
they're gone.
Yeah,
I think he's gone. And I think they also get rid of Ridder then.
Yeah.
And it's just a clean house, and hopefully we keep some pieces, and we're competing quickly right after that in that bad division. My second guy, maybe a long shot. If the team, I think, doesn't make the playoffs, it could very be a real possibility. But Brandon Staley in Los Angeles for the Chargers. We were just talking about Herbert, how he's under pressure. Well, that means his coach is also under pressure. Because sure that you've got the Chiefs in that division, and that's a powerhouse. They're going to be competing. But that second place, potentially even first, they've got to be there.
They're right there with the Chiefs every game. They lose by 3 points.
And the offense is high-powered. Again, you pay the quarterback the most money, well, then you value him very highly. You know what I mean? They look at Herbert like he is untouchable, obviously, a top quarterback in the league. Yep. You paid him. All right, now let's go. It can't be his fault if you guys struggle. And eventually that leads right back to the coach. If the Chargers miss the playoffs, Brandon Staley's in trouble because they just signed Kellen Moore to be their offensive coordinator, who's been the next head coach candidate for 5 years at this point. And eventually he's going to get a shot. If their offense looks good, things are just not all there. Staley's in trouble because it's getting old eventually because it's the same thing. Results. You got to at least win a playoff game. You can't choke a 24, 27-point lead, whatever it was. Yeah, that's terrible. Can't have that happen and then maybe to miss the playoffs or not win a playoff game. We're stagnant with a quarterback that's young and getting older. Yeah, you got to go.
And with Kellen Moore sitting there on the sideline as a head coaching candidate, it's like, man, that's a real easy in-house.
His seat might not be on fire, but he's looking down going, why is this hot?
Man,
and it's getting hot, and it's getting hot.
His cheeks getting a little sweaty.
If that offense starts popping off.
Yeah, exactly. And then they still, if the offense pops off, and then, exactly, and they still just don't look all there somehow, and they're not winning when they have this team that really should. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I think if they don't make the playoffs or don't win a game, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I'm just going to jump in and go. And I've got several written down, but I'm just going to pick 2 to talk about. I think, and I'm going to take the most obvious one of the room.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Riverboat Ron Rivera. I mean, that team is going to be bad. They were 8-1 last year. Like, I think people forget that they were the worst team.
Yeah.
Technically, by record-wise. Now, or were they any good at all? No, they were terrible.
No,
I don't know
but
how
at the
they
end of
won
the day,
8 games, but
they
they
were
won
winning
8 games
Taylor
as a
Heineke
4th-place
effect,
team.
man.
And Heineke's
Who's
gone.
in Atlanta.
Yeah, he was in Atlanta. Might take over. That'd be interesting.
And maybe save Arthur Smith's job.
Maybe save it. Well,
I can see it.
but I think if and his replacement's in-house. Eric Bieniemy, that job is his if they struggle.
100%.
Plus, if they're bad enough to get a top pick, those quarterbacks are sitting there looking at them, and you want to put a young quarterback with an offensive coordinator or a head coach in Eric Bieniemy, I think that's a big win. I think that's what you do.
Man, if they could get Caleb Williams. Just
Or
Bieniemy
Drake
sort of
May.
got this. People say he's got this attitude, you know. And
Yeah.
Caleb Williams writes fuck whatever college he's playing on his
obviously
nails.
got attitude.
So
Be
maybe
interesting.
coach quarterback little
Coach,
attitude
quarterback,
problem.
yeah.
Who knows? Like together, you know. I mean, they're banging heads against
Uh-huh.
other people. So who knows?
It could be interesting, but I've got Ron Rivera on there as he's my pick,
Yeah.
if anyone. And then I'm going with my shock one. I'm throwing it out there. You can't be the Super Bowl favorite every year and then fall flat in the playoffs. You just can't, Sean McDermott. It doesn't work like that. At some point, the management is going to look at him and be like, we can't beat the Bengals. We can't beat the Chiefs, but our roster is as good as theirs. What the hell is the problem here? I mean, how many points did they score against the Bengals in the playoffs last year? I don't remember.
10.
Like 10. They couldn't score against the Bengals, who had a good defense, but they just couldn't do it. And how many times are you going to let them fall flat before you're like, okay, let's make a change here.
Yeah.
Let's try something different because this isn't working. We've got the talent. Let's try something else. And his defensive coordinator's gone. Leslie Frazier taking a year off of football.
Yep.
Is the defense going to take a step back? Who knows? I've got McDermott as my one to watch. I'm not predicting a firing, but if they fall flat in the playoffs, or God forbid, they miss the playoffs entirely
Yeah.
in a loaded AFC,
Yeah. No, if they don't win their
McDermott is
division,
on
it's
the
a
chopping
fight.
block.
Yeah. Oh,
It's got to be
100%.
because at that point it's like, okay, we've got the quarterback.
Yeah,
We believe in Allen.
It's tough
I mean,
because
Allen's under pressure. They're only getting rid of one of them.
yeah,
Right.
And
no,
it's
exactly.
not
Not
Allen.
Josh
It's
Allen.
not
Yeah,
Allen.
exactly.
At some point, you got to make a move.
And it's sad to say, you know, Sean McDermott, there's love there because the Bills struggled and he finally got them over the hump to the
Yep,
playoffs.
right.
But that's not good enough anymore.
No,
that
now
is
there's
not good enough
expectations.
anymore.
There's
You've gotten us there
expectations.
great. Now is it going to have to be somebody else that can do what you can't?
push us through,
Yeah,
right?
because you got us there, but there might have to be somebody else to get
Like
us
those-
to the next.
Those
step.
preseason
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion banners are getting a little dusty.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not as shiny as the actual Super Bowl championship banners, and at some point they're going to want an actual one. They're just going
and then
to.
again, I mean, Stephon Diggs is a bomb waiting to go.
Right,
off.
yeah,
And
like
like
Stephon-
what happens when the offense implodes and they lose a weapon or two,
Yep.
and then it's really on Josh
That's
Allen and
really bad. And
yeah.
they say they want to run the ball more. Okay, do you
Get a
really
running
do you
back.
trust James Cook as the fourth round player to run the ball that well? Naheem Hines done for the year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that situation sucks. I feel
Yeah.
terrible for
Yeah,
Naheem Hines.
honestly.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, is he a 3-down back? Is Jim
right?
Cook's
Is
going to
James
be out there all
back?
year?
Is
Bell
Damian
cow,
Harris?
yeah.
I mean, he just got run out of town in New England.
Yeah.
I mean,
Damian
who
Harris
knows?
can't catch the ball. Like
Exactly. So we're relying on a second-year running back who has limited touches.
and fumble issues.
And
Yeah.
fumble
Because
issues.
That's why he's got limited touches.
Right.
He can't hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think McDermott they need to perform this year. They need to win another playoff game. They have to take that next step. Like
Yeah.
beat the Bengals in the playoffs, beat
Yeah.
the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, seriously.
Otherwise, you're in trouble because you're not getting us over the hump. And at the end of the day, if you can't win me a Super Bowl, what are we doing?
I think that is a fair
What are we doing?
task to give the Bills. You have to, if you play the Chiefs or Bengals,
You
because I
have to
assume
beat
it'll be
them
one
this
of
year.
them.
It
You
will be
have
one
to
of
win
them.
that
Gotta
game at minimum,
Have to
and then
win.
obviously the next one because you'll play the other team most
Right.
likely.
Then
Hey,
okay.
we'll get there,
fine.
but let's just get there.
Agreed. I've got to go with McDermott as my shot. Sage,
I
your
like it.
potential firings.
Yeah, so I might be taking one of yours over here, but
Yes.
got Mike McCarthy here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Dude, okay, here's the thing. Mike McCarthy's taking over plays. I
Mm-hmm.
get it. He called plays for Green Bay all but one season, 2015. Not a great offensive season for them. They took a dip that year.
Mhm.
He's one of the great elevators of the West Coast offense. They had a great offense all those years. I get it. But the NFL is moving along and he is stuck in this old West Coast offense.
Yep.
You know?
Got to adapt.
He's going to throw the ball a lot. All right? I really think there's going to be a lot of players that are going to really expand from this, right?
Yeah.
But there's a whole other side of the ball.
Yeah.
You know? And guess who's
Defense.
leading that side of the ball? Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Just
Dan
raring
Quinn.
for another head coaching
And
gig.
he's itching at it. He was looking. And there's
Uh-huh.
a reason he stayed. And I think Jerry Jones was like, hey,
Hey, listen, if this doesn't work this year,
listen.
Yeah, there's a
You're a
reason
guy.
Kellen Moore left.
There's-
you
yeah,
know, because
Kellen,
he
yep.
thought it was him, and then Jerry's like, no shot,
no.
Pipsqueak.
Dan
You're out
Quinn
of town.
will- Dan
yeah.
Quinn will get
we'll
the
take
job
the old
before
man.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So once McCarthy, yeah, he's gonna have the offense probably rolling. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they got Schottenheimer as the OC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Where'd he come from?
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
I still think, hey,
He's
they're
in the
always
analytics department.
they're always looking for the next guy. You know,
Mhm.
they're looking for the next McVay. They're looking for the
Yes,
next.
everyone is.
Yeah. So who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows who the hell he is? You know, but
Could be something.
it might take a shot.
Right.
Might take a shot. Dan Quinn might have something going on for him right there.
Yeah.
And McCarthy, sorry, dude, but you're not exciting. You're not fun. And Jerry's
It's his
exciting.
struggle.
Yeah.
Jerry wants to win before he dies. He
No,
wants one.
100%.
And
No, I
it's
mean,
like we're running out of time.
he's
No
accepted
offense,
that he's got 15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
he
let's
knows.
just be real.
He's-
Like, and I think that's going to come into play with how the Cowboys are handled, like
Yeah.
straight up. And that's why I agree with Dax under pressure, and I agree with Mike as well. It's
Mhm.
like man, if they really suck, eventually he's gonna freak out and
Yeah,
flip out and be
panic.
like, "This is not all right. Like I gotta try to do
You
something."
have to change.
And it's like, well,
Yep.
and at the end of the day, it's got to be
And I
somebody.
think even if they're winning games, I think
Yeah.
they have a week 8 or 9 bye week.
Yeah.
Somewhere right in the sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Even if they're winning games, he might go right before that bye week.
Yeah.
Give Dan Quinn a week with the team.
Get
come
ready
right
if
back.
they're struggling. Yeah.
And I think they come back against the Eagles.
Yeah, I
After
think
the
so
bye
too.
week. And
Something like that.
what a time to prove yourself.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Show us what you got. Yeah. I am personally very high on the Cowboys, and we'll
Yeah.
get into our divisional
I'm
stuff
high on the team.
later. I'm high on the team. That roster's too good to not be good
Yes.
this year.
Yeah.
The roster is too damn talented. They just paid Trayvon Diggs. They have one of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL in Micah Parsons. I love the
Improved
Mozzie
their
Smith
line in the
pick.
draft, yep.
I,
Their
I,
new
I
line,
hated
yeah.
on that pick initially. After I've watched his
Dude, he's
workout
a
stuff,
freak.
he's a freak athlete. For the Mozzie Smith.
Yeah, for the Cowboys
yeah,
from
yeah,
Michigan.
A first round pick, he could be a stud.
Yeah.
And that offense has so much talent. Obviously, as we all know, I'm high on them considering how I drafted in our fantasy league.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for them not to be good. And if Mike McCarthy struggles and the offense takes a step back, then it's like, was it Kellen Moore that was driving this truck? Is Mike McCarthy the guy? I don't know. So I agree. If they struggle, similar to McDermott, if the team struggles and doesn't take a next step, maybe we go get a head coach that can give us that next step.
Yep.
I agree. I like that one. Colin, your coaches.
Sure, I'll go with just one here that we didn't mention, but we mentioned pre-show. Josh McDaniels.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Uh,
Definitely.
Talk about a poppin' new team in the
Yep.
new stadium in Vegas. There, his whole offensive scheme is his scheme.
Yep.
Yeah.
He is the sole blame for if this offense struggles. I don't care if you brought in your guy in Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes.
He can adapt to any system.
So complicated that Derek Carr
Carr
is struggling in week
couldn't
13.
get it.
Yeah, they moved
Yeah.
on from their franchise quarterback to pick you
To give you the reins.
to
Yep.
bring in your guy.
Yep.
Who knows your system? That's allegedly.
Allegedly knows the
Works.
system. That's good,
Yeah.
apparently.
I think he's in the hot seat for a team that very easily could finish and probably should and will finish
Last in their
division.
Absolutely.
So I could
100%.
easily see him getting the boot at the end of the
Like
season.
Yeah.
the best case for the Raiders is Jimmy G like performs better than he ever has in
Yeah,
his career.
he's
You know,
the
takes
best
a
he's
step
ever
when
done.
he's old, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't know where this is going to come from. You know, he's shown who he is. And that's a quarterback that's good when you have a really good team around him and a good run game that you can hand the ball off to a bunch of times. If Josh Jacobs doesn't play, good luck.
Yeah, because Josh Jacobs not showing up for training camp.
But
yet.
Devontae Adams, he's not happy there
No.
right
Yeah,
now.
Devontae Adams is
Hunter
not happy.
Renfro is apparently on the trade
Trade
block.
block, yeah. Who was down
They got
here
rid of
last year,
Waller.
but-
You know,
yeah,
I think
Waller's
drafted
gone.
Mayer, but
Michael Mayer, but he's a rookie tight end.
You know,
How
the
often do they
defense is
flash?
atrocious.
Yeah.
Defense is
It's the Raiders'
terrible.
defense.
yeah.
It's
And
always
again, it's just
atrocious.
thinking about it. Good
Tyree
luck in the
Wilson's already hurt.
AFC. Yeah. What is an acceptable season?
Yeah.
You know, for the Raiders, and it's
Right.
yeah.
I mean, last year was supposed to be their year to be really good, and they were really bad. I mean,
Yeah.
they were what, the sixth worst team in the NFL, something like that. They were
Yeah.
not seventh. They were
Yeah.
seventh worst
Seventh.
team. Like
Yeah.
they were not very good.
Yeah.
And their 7th-round pick, Tyree Wilson's already hurt.
Yeah.
That's not a great start. And then you're relying on Jimmy Garoppolo, who nearly failed his physical coming into the team
Yeah.
to elevate this
Yeah, it
team.
sounded like they were trying to get out of signing
Right,
him
trying to get
for
out
a
of
while.
contract.
You know what I mean? So
I
like they were
know.
hoping he wasn't going to pass that physical in time.
Yep.
And it's like, well, then what?
Right. Then what
But
are you gonna do?
then
Right, who do you have though?
Yeah,
I
no.
don't even know
Then,
who
then
their
you just
backup
hopefully
is.
you accept that you can get Caleb Williams, but then hopefully you convince the management you can stick around
That you can-
McDaniels. Yeah,
right,
because
right.
if they get the number 1 pick,
How
and
long
you're
will it
trash.
take if Derek Carr, who's been a consummate pro, he was nothing but a professional
Yeah.
in the league. If he can't figure out your offense in 13 weeks, you think Caleb Williams is going to come in
Yeah,
and
no,
grasp this?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We need a quarterback-friendly system, and this is not
And-
that.
and
You
I
don't
also-
have Brady
I
anymore.
also think it hurts the Raiders if Derek Carr goes to New Orleans and
And
plays
balls.
well. Like
Yeah.
I understand,
Yeah.
like that division is weak, but if he wins 10 games with the Saints and the Raiders win 6, you
Yeah.
know, you can't be you're gonna be looking stupid.
Yeah.
You let
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy, you couldn't get rid of him quick enough,
right,
McDaniels.
couldn't bench him
For
soon
you
enough.
won it again, Jimmy G, your guy, like you said, but injury-prone quarterback, you're risking your job on it,
Yeah.
and potentially your last head coaching job.
The way their roster is constructed on the defensive side of the ball, other than their D line's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
yes,
awesome.
yeah. Max
Max
Crosby's
Crosby's one of my
awesome.
favorite
players
He's
to
watch.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
other than that D line, that back seven is nothing special,
Ugly.
Yeah.
and your offense is going to have to operate at a top
Terry?
10
Yeah.
offense in the league just
Their
to
back
maybe
seven has
make
been
the
that way
playoffs.
for what 5 years?
They
Yeah.
just keep missing on their
Yeah,
draft
for
picks,
real,
man.
though,
They
they
just
do.
keep
Yeah.
missing on draft
Oh my
picks in the secondary.
Marcus Peters is gonna save him though. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see if he lasts past week.
Damon
5.
Arnett's still
honestly.
there? First-round pick of the year? No, he's in
No.
jail
Yeah,
with Henry Ruggs. I think they're bunking together. Nice job, Raiders.
dude.
They're maybe the worst drafting team
Hot,
in the NFL.
wild take. I think Henry Ruggs is going to somehow get back in the league
You think
in like
so?
3 years.
That'd
dude.
be
He's going to be like 27. He's on house arrest. He's not even in
Yeah,
jail.
he's
He's
at-
working
Probably
out.
working out.
He's
right?
working out with quarterbacks. Yeah, he's got an ankle monitor on, but
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
they let
Right
Dante
around his
Stallworth.
backyard.
They let Dante Stallworth back in. He killed somebody manslaughter, drunk driving,
Yeah.
and he went to prison and came back
His
and
time,
re-signed with
okay.
the Saints after he was done. It's been done before.
It wouldn't shock me.
He's
I mean,
young
got
and
the
he's
talent.
got talent. It's
gonna play
it's
for the
it's
Browns.
terrible. It
He's
is
gonna go
terrible,
for
and
the
I don't think
So
he
the
should.
Cowboys
You know,
take a risk on
like
him.
I hope the
Cowboys
Bears
will
don't. You
Yeah,
know, but
I
if
don't
they
want
do, it's not my choice.
Right, whatever.
But if he's got
talented,
talent, the NFL will play you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
If you're good, we'll put you out
And
there.
if we'll see. I don't know. I'm not all in on the legal proceedings and stuff. But why? If he had no dream of it, why is he working out with NFL quarterbacks?
Right, why keep
At
doing
all?
this?
Why at all? And I get because you want to, I guess, but it's like that's just hurting yourself if you know there's no shot of
Right,
this.
you might as well just
Yeah,
relax.
just hurting yourself mentally.
Yeah.
Trying to think you have a chance, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a hot take, obviously. That's
I mean, a hot
way
take,
later,
that's
but
good.
it's like, man, from years from now, I wouldn't be surprised. He's going to be like 27
Yeah.
in a couple years, and it's like that's
Yeah.
still young enough to play.
Athletic prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so you just never know.
A coach that we haven't said that I'm just going to throw out there is Robert Saleh for the Jets. Mainly because, and then I've got Bill Belichick on here too. So
I love it.
What a fucking hater.
sorry.
Get
Okay,
the
but
fuck
to
outta
be
here.
fair
Yeah,
about
John
Robert,
Harbaugh.
I love it.
to be fair about Robert Saleh, that team is ready to win.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, that defense is going to be still a top 10, top 5 caliber team. They just brought in Aaron Rodgers. Robert Saleh's never been an offensive guy. Can he get the most out of this team? And if they start out slow, like we talk about their schedule, we'll talk about it more when we get there. They have a hard first 6 weeks,
Yes,
man.
they do.
If they start out 2-4, do they start saying, "You're not the guy"?
Yeah.
That's just a question.
Well, my thing as well is, let's be real. How much power does Rodgers have in New York? Because I assume they're giving him a lot.
All of it.
Because it's like, oh, we want you so bad.
Mm-hmm.
If he sucks, my boy is my OC.
Nathaniel Hackett's right
Let's
here.
give him another
Let's
shot.
give him a chance.
I'll make him look good,
Yep.
and he'll look good for you guys, and he'll be your next coach when I'm done.
Yep.
Because I'll be here for 2 years, and he could be my coach next year.
Yep.
If he's gonna convince it,
They
and it's
brought
like,
in Rodgers' boy,
woo.
and Rodgers just said, "I've got at least 2
Merry
years."
Yeah.
Christmas, Elder
Yeah.
family.
Merry Christmas.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Listen, I love that you like to dream, but
I
that's
do. I
not
dream
happening.
big. Well, okay,
You
but
know,
if they start bad,
Nathaniel
it's
Elder.
not
Nathaniel-
happening.
I had a dream, and that's Robert Saleh got fired when the Jets started 1-5. That's my
That
dream.
might happen. I
I
love
mean,
it. It was
okay, but
too
like you
cool.
look at when was the last time?
No, you're not wrong.
When we talk about the Jets, I'll go more into this because I
Saleh
do
was
have them
supposed to
making the
figure this
playoffs.
out.
I want to say that.
Saleh was supposed to figure this out.
I have the Jets in the playoffs. But you look at their first 6 games, their easiest game is at New England, who they haven't beat in 4 seasons.
Hey guys, post-editing Nate here. Turns out I was way too generous to the New York Jets, considering they actually haven't beaten the Patriots since December of 2015. 7 straight years where they have not yet beaten the Patriots. Get back to the video.
They have not beaten the New England Patriots in like 4 seasons. They got swept last year. Yeah, their quarterback sucked. Rodgers is by far the best quarterback the Jets have had forever. But their easiest game is against a team and a coach that doesn't lose to them.
Yeah.
That's got to be a mental thing. Like the Denver Broncos haven't beaten the Chiefs in 16 straight games. I don't care how much better the Chiefs are than the Broncos. If the teams are even, I'm giving the edge to the Chiefs every single time.
Yeah.
Like if they have the exact same roster, the mentality of we fucking own you, means something. At some point, that means something. And the Jets are owned by the Patriots, and then they play the Eagles, and then they go to Dallas, and they play the Bills. It's like, shit, there's nothing easy here for them.
Yeah.
If they come out struggling, who are we blaming? Are we going to blame Rodgers, or are we going to blame the coach who hasn't had a winning season?
There was nothing easy for them last year. They won 7 games.
Oh, okay, but
I mean,
we'll talk about more. But it was easy for them last year. When you look at the quarterbacks they played. When you look at the QBs they played.
did you look at the QBs they put on the field?
Well, yeah, right, but I'm saying like their defense played super well, but 11 of their games were against
But
backup
we're talking
quarterbacks.
about coaching decisions. He benched Zach Wilson, number 2 overall pick, and did better with Mike White. That
Yes,
was a
Mike White
great
was better.
coaching decision.
But then he went to Flacco at the end of the year over Mike White.
Hey, Flacco's a fucking Hall of Famer.
Whoa.
That's a topic for another day. That's another
Whoa,
day.
whoa, whoa.
But I'm just
Sound
saying,
the siren.
if
Holy
they-
shit.
See, you're gonna light this room on fire.
You can't spell elite without Flacco.
Oh my god, but you definitely can. But at the end of the day, if they come out and they struggle, if you have to blame somebody, and you're not going to blame your quarterback who just took a big pay cut for you, and you're not going to blame your defense, which is awesome. Who takes the blame? It's got to be the head coach, and that schedule is conducive to a slow start. I didn't say him as one of my top 2, but he's on my list. Just someone.
I mean,
you
you
know,
can ask the Rams how opening at home with the Bills.
yeah, how
Yeah.
well that goes for
Right.
you. I mean,
Well,
that's a tough.
When you
game.
look at who would be the interim,
Mhm. It
Nathaniel
would be Hackett. But like Addison said, Rodgers with that kind of pull, like he got Lazard and Cobb over there.
You're telling me if Rodgers is going, I want this guy,
Listen,
and
I think
I'll be
Hackett-
happy
I think
sticking him
Hackett
around
would be a
for an
better coach
extra
than
year.
you. Right,
Yeah.
I'll stay another year for you.
well, would they really do that?
Yes.
I think they've almost
that-
pushed them themselves
I
where
think
they
they're
have to
stuck.
listen to him.
They have to.
Listen,
They've sold Rodgers the franchise for 2 years.
They did.
They
They
said you're gonna own us for 2 years,
Yep.
man. You do what
This
you
is
want.
your franchise.
Like I know it's dumb, but if he wanted that locker room Russell Wilson was getting, he'd get it.
He got
you
it.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
all
what
team
he
three,
would get it.
he could
Yeah.
Parking space.
Yeah, he'd get
the
that
parking
parking
spot
space.
and the office.
He'd just walk up. Yeah, he'd walk up right to Salah and go, "I want this spot."
Yep.
And Salah's like, "This is my spot." He'd be like, "I want this spot."
Then
He'd
this
get
is
that
my
spot.
spot now.
He'd get that spot.
He would get the spot.
He'd get the spot.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying is if they start out slow, heads are gonna roll. Someone has to be blamed.
And Salah's been there for a couple
3
years,
years.
you
This
know.
will be his
So
third season as the head coach. This is
Third.
about the
And he
time where
was-
if you don't see success,
he was-
head coaches are gone.
But he's moved up. First season was not good.
Yeah, that's
Second
true.
season,
They were better.
progression.
They were better last year. Yep.
They're showing
Agreed.
progression.
Agreed. That's why I'm saying if they start out slow and we're like, ooh, the Jets are 1-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's
I
got to
think
go.
this is definitely a season where the heads are going to turn,
Yep.
but I don't think it's a season where he gets fired. I think it could be a next season thing.
I guess it depends on how well they do. And
True.
you can say that for most teams, especially
Yeah.
a team that has winning aspirations. If you come out and start out slow, that head coach is in trouble.
No, for real.
One team that their head coach started out slow and is not going to do well and did not do well is Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the last
think Todd
person I'm
Bowles
going
in
to bring
trouble.
up. He is a defensive coordinator.
He's not a good head
Let
coach.
him be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's all he should do.
Yeah.
Ever.
Agreed.
Ever. If TB12 leaves and you have Kyle Trask on the roster and your only option is like, you know what? I'm going to get Baker Mayfield.
Let me get bigger Mayfield. All
You
right.
see that pass he threw to
Their
win that
training
game
camp
on the
videos.
Rams?
Their training camp videos are so bad.
It's so bad, and that's
It's
the only thing
ugly.
he could do.
Yeah.
That's the only person you could pick up. I'd be happier if they picked up Tyler Heineke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
really. No,
Same.
I'm
Heineke would have been better
saying.
there.
I hope Baker's good.
Same.
Just 'cause
I
of
hope he
story,
does play
but
well
like,
too.
I mean, he's got the weapons to be good, but he's gonna be butt.
Yeah, they're gonna struggle.
He's gonna be ass.
Cal Canty's already hurt, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
He got carted off. I don't know how long he's out
Yeah.
for. Hopefully
Non-
he's okay.
They just keep
Contact.
rebuilding
Yeah.
this defense, and it's like, okay, cool, but like,
Yeah.
We need wins.
get a
please.
quarterback because
Yeah.
he's not acting like a coach that has the hot seat on him.
No, he's not. He thinks he's just locked in. They should have just kept Bruce Arians and let Tom Brady go and
Yeah.
just figured that out because obviously last year they went 8-9 with Tom Brady and then he retired. And now you don't have a good coach
Yeah.
because you chose Bowles and Brady over Arians and the future. That was a big mistake in my opinion.
And Arians is still in the building.
Right, he's still there, but he's not the
Yeah.
coach. And
Yeah.
Could be a tanking decision though too.
I was gonna
Could
say
be a
I
tanking
said
move.
that in that preview, man. That little script I had.
Yeah.
They might be tanking to get Caleb
might be
Williams
trying
and
to
try to
get
get
Williams.
real quick back to competing because
Which
that
they could,
division
'cause
is
that division
cheeks
cheeks.
and it's just weird. But
Weird.
if they get Caleb Williams quick with weapons, I don't care that Evans will be 31 or 32.
He's still gonna get 1,000
He's
yards.
gonna get 1,000 damn yards,
Get
and
1,000 yards.
I like Godwin. So.
Yeah.
Oh, and Zach Moss just got a broken arm.
Oh
Ooh.
no, Zach Moss out. So
For the Colts, they're
no,
rich.
Colts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
really
yeah.
need
Yeah.
Taylor.
Number 2 back.
Wow.
Dylan Knoll that Bob
Oh,
drafted.
yeah.
Because Bob had insider trading and it broke on Twitter like 5 minutes and he stayed real quiet and drafted both Colts running backs. Like
Oh
Taylor was
man,
behind
he
us.
did.
It's like,
That
wow.
is insider trading.
Mhm.
Damn you,
Mhm.
Bobby.
Mhm.
Damn you.
What a guy.
But that's all I think we've got for the head coaches
Yeah.
that we think are on the chopping block.